It is WrestleMania season, and along with that, your boy has been a fan of professional wrestling since 2013. However, I didn't get into wrestling till after WrestleMania, but I did want to go over the past 10 Manias to see what was the best WrestleMania, going from WrestleMania 30 all the way up to 39. So let's get into it. But hey, if you like professional wrestling content, feel free to follow your boy, like, comment, subscribe, let you know what you want to see me go ahead and cover as we make our way all the way into WrestleMania 30. And feel free to follow the Twitch as well, because your boy is going to be going ahead and making some content over there, especially when 2K24 comes out. He's going to be doing a whole lot over there. Now on to the video. WrestleMania 30, it comes to no surprise that the best match on the card, in my opinion, was the triple threat match, the main event. Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, Batista. You want to talk about people finishing their story. Look no further than Daniel Bryan. WrestleMania was running wild. You had the opening match with Daniel Bryan versus Triple H leading into this. You want to look at where we are at now, WrestleMania 40, where Cody has to overcome an obstacle that is The Rock and the Bloodline. Let's take a jump 10 years back to see when we did this before, and having a very similar effect with how over this storyline, or this type of a storyline was, with Daniel Bryan having to overcome Batista, Randy Orton, and The Authority. And you know what? It's probably going to have the same outcome. So when we had Daniel Bryan come out victorious and the crowd went wild, this is what you're going to see in a few weeks' time with Cody Rhodes. But you want to look at the template of this story? Hey, Daniel Bryan, WrestleMania, an all-time classic. And the match itself was also pretty good as well. Daniel Bryan, being the underdog that he was, had to deal with two members of Evolution already being worn down from a match earlier that night, and in the end still coming out victorious. Ain't no B+ player here. Heading into WrestleMania 31, and while I will say this match is a little overrated due to what happened at the end of it, I'd still have to say the best match was WrestleMania 31 Roman versus Brock, technically versus Seth Rollins. The crowd could not be bothered to deal with that of Roman Reigns at this point in time. And so seeing Roman get absolutely pulverized by Brock, still having moments of hope, surviving Suplex City, which in this match will be coined as Suplex City, nearly putting Brock down with, I believe, 2 spears, setting up for that third and final one before getting caught out of nowhere with the F5, and then the second coming hits the airwaves. Seth runs down and the heist of the century happens. I will say this is a little bit overrated due to the match itself, and quite frankly, this is where we were really starting up with the Brock Lesnar formula of half a dozen suplexes, but it fit at the time. And then you had the cash in, you had the heist of the century, you had Seth Rollins winning his first world title. I couldn't put anything else here. This entire card was good, but this main event is something that I come back to time and time again, especially for that cash in. On the flip side, WrestleMania 32 was kinda meh. And there's really 2 matches you could put here. And that's either The Undertaker versus Shane McMahon inside of a kind of meh Hell in a Cell, or what probably deserves it more, the women's title match between Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks. I'll let y'all decide which deserves to be here more. But really, this entire card was kind of meh. I mean, I guess the ladder match itself was also pretty good with the Intercontinental Championship, but it's also a little hindered by how they treated Zack Ryder following that match. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all would put here. WrestleMania 33, in my opinion, I'd have to go with Brock versus Goldberg. This felt like nothing else on the card. And while it was a finisher fest, it was very, very fast-paced, very intense, back and forth. You didn't know whether or not Brock was going to actually pull it off, especially coming to Jackhammer. Goldberg lands a jackhammer, and Brock Lesnar finally kicks out. And while with recent things at the time of this recording involving Brock Lesnar, it's kind of soured almost everything that he's been involved with, I would still put this in as my favorite match, the best match of WrestleMania 33. WrestleMania 34, I have to give it to Stephanie McMahon and Triple H versus Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle. Before Ronda started to stink up the ring, she was absolutely killing it when she first popped up on the scene. And many people might not look back on this match and think, oh yeah, this was an absolute banger. This is why we were super hyped for Ronda Rousey in the first place. And on top of that, it was one of the rare occasions where Stephanie McMahon actually got her comeuppance. WrestleMania 35? I mean, it was Kofi versus Daniel Bryan. Could it have been anything else? An absolutely wonderful story, especially because for people like me, you can see Kofi Kingston, the second ever black wrestler to win the world title. But even aside from that, this entire Kofi Mania story leading into WrestleMania is an all-timer. And it's funny to see Daniel Bryan on the flip side from where he was at WrestleMania 30 to here, where Kofi Kingston is the underdog, and Daniel Bryan, instead of being in that underdog B-plus player role, is in that authority-esque situation, being overlooked, being looked down upon, with the New Day fighting to keep Kofi's spot, with Kofi overcoming the odds and taking the title off of Daniel Bryan. And truth be told, in my personal opinion, I would have this match be the main event. But you know what? I'll have a video on that later. As for what should be the main events for every single WrestleMania from 30 all the way to 39 that weren't the main event themselves, but we'll get to that another time. Speaking of which, again, feel free to follow your boy, like, comment, subscribe, because I'll be dropping a lot more videos like this, as well as other wrestling related content. Back into the video. WrestleMania 36, aka COVID Mania, and I would say it kind of surprised me with how little championship matches some of these Manias had, including 36. That being said, it doesn't really matter, because the two best matches of 36 were not title matches. Night 1, I would have to give it to AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. The Undertaker's final match. He finally got a match that was worth going out on, as compared to that of his matches against, say, Roman Reigns, or against Goldberg, or against DX, or against Triple H, which some people don't even remember because of that DX match. The Undertaker finally got that absolutely enjoyable match, and while it was a cinematic, it was still a very, very, very enjoyable cinematic match. Very fitting to the Undertaker character, and in the end, the Phenomenal One got to have his career. Rest in peace. Did I say Phenomenal One? I meant the Phenom. A phenomenal match nevertheless. And into night 2, quite frankly, this WrestleMania was also the first WrestleMania that introduced the 2-night format. One of the greatest things they have done for WrestleMania, because I'll be real, watching 5+ hour WrestleManias is an absolute slog. I don't care who you are, I don't care who you ask, I don't care if you're in the arena or if you're watching at home. It's an absolute chore to get through. So with us introducing the 2-night WrestleManias, not only just to give more spots for people to join in the card and have it flow a lot easier, but also allow people to have more main event opportunities. But we'll get into that with our next entry following this, because this match here, while it was not the main event, it still stole the show, and that is the Firefly Funhouse. John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, with Bray getting his victory over John Cena at last, his greatest WrestleMania match, and quite frankly, with Bray Wyatt dissecting the career and fan perspective over John Cena. There really is nothing I could compare, and there's no amount of describing this match that I could do that would give it justice. It's a match you need to see yourself, and quite frankly, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Bray Wyatt matches. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt, and one of the best pandemic matches as well. Took advantage of the situation at the time and absolutely ran with it. WrestleMania 37, and if you remember how I said about them making WrestleMania into a 2-night show, and how it allowed more people to have potential main event matches that may have not gotten that opportunity otherwise, this is peak. This match, and it's Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks, by the way, is prime example as to why it was such a good idea to have these matches get split into 2 nights, or these shows into 2 nights, because we got to have this banger of a match. The first WrestleMania match was involving 2 black women facing off against one another. I believe the first and only world title match involving two black wrestlers facing off against each other for a world title. And they absolutely tore the house down. A bit of a torch passing from Sasha Banks to Bianca Belair. And it's a shame we never got to have a follow-up to this. We may never have a follow-up to this match, with the nowadays Mercedes Moné most likely heading to AEW. But my god, this was a star-making performance for Bianca Belair, and absolutely deserved to main event. It's my joint favorite women's match at WrestleMania, but we'll get into the other match that's right there at the #1 spot later on. Night 2, it's gotta be the triple threat match. In my opinion, the best Roman Mania match to date, his triple threat match against Daniel Bryan and Edge. Even from an outside perspective, where this is the match featuring three individuals we thought that their careers were done. Roman Reigns had to deal with leukemia, Daniel Bryan and Edge had career-ending injuries but were able to come back. This is a dream match that we thought may have never happened. A match where all three of these competitors you thought were never going to be in the main event ever again due to their own individual career-halting situations. And nevertheless, we got to see these three absolutely go ham. And on top of that, you have the iconic double pin finish, where Roman Reigns, albeit thanks to that of Jey Uso's help, and this is right before it got super ridiculous to the Bloodline interfering in every single Roman Reigns match. Roman Reigns pinning both Daniel Bryan and Edge in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3, and the head of the table would reign supreme. Night 1 of WrestleMania 38. Thank God this match happened, because I'm sorry, Charlotte vs. Ronda Rousey absolutely flopped hard. But we got Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out of retirement for the first time in, if I'm correct, 20 years to face off against Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens' first WrestleMania main event. And again, we wouldn't have had this main event match, Kevin Owens being able to say he had a main event match, if it wasn't for them making WrestleMania into 2 nights. And it was as JR would put it, a slobber knocker. These two brawled throughout the arena, and it was absolute fun, lovable, enjoyable chaos. That being said, it was tough to decide between this match and the match with Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes. I believe that was on night 1. Night 2, I'll be real, there is an issue. As much as I will praise the 2-night WrestleMania format, there is a bit of an issue with WrestleMania and their night 2s kind of slightly faltering compared to night 1s. But I have to give it to Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville. Peak comedy match. And it's wild to see where Sami Zayn would be from this year into the next year, where he would main event alongside Kevin Owens in one of the most heated stories come WrestleMania 39. Which should be a bit more surprising considering I wouldn't even put that match here. WrestleMania 39 night 1, I'd have to give it to Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. Which is a bit funny considering that they had probably one of the worst WrestleMania matches a few years prior. Come this year, they absolutely tore it down. One of the best matches of the year. And if you remember how I said Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks is my joint favorite women's match, the other match right up there that's tied with it is this match here. Rhea Ripley finally getting her victory over Charlotte Flair. An absolutely star-making performance. You want to talk about people finishing their story? Cody couldn't, but at the very least, one Nightmare could. And night 2, it's no surprise what night 2 for WrestleMania 39, what match was absolutely wild, was the absolute best. It's Drew McIntyre versus Gunther versus Sheamus. I mean, come on. A 5-star classic. 5-star. If I were to rank all these matches here, this, Rhea versus Charlotte, and Bianca versus Sasha would be in my top 3. You can add in Cena versus Bray and Kofi versus Bryant. Those would be the top 5. If you were to take all these past WrestleMania matches and put them in the top 5 matches, those would be in there. But this match, by and far, probably my favorite match involving Intercontinental Championship ever. And one of the reasons why Gunther is the GOAT. These three absolutely burned it down. And the ring, General managed to retain over two former world champions in Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. And that was my favorite matches from WrestleMania 30 all the way to 39. Every single WrestleMania that I was a fan for. But y'all let me know, what would y'all have as y'all's favorite matches from these WrestleManias? Comment that down below. Or let me know if you agree. Like, comment, subscribe, join your boy, because we will be doing a lot more WrestleMania content, a lot of wrestling content here. Again, join your boy over on Twitch, because we will be doing some wrestling content over there. And you know what? Follow your boy on the main account, because come WrestleMania, I'll be heading to night 2 of WrestleMania 40. And I want to go ahead and see if I can have a VTuber, first time for VTubers, a VTuber WrestleMania experience. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, see y'all.